What's going on, y'all? This is Raeshad from RaeshadBeats.com. Welcome back to another video, and today we have another mixtape review, and the artist of the hour for this mixtape review is none other than Josh and Bud T. Josh and Bud T are from DMV area. They are DMV natives, just like I am. And to actually have, upcoming stars hit me up that's from the same area that I am is always a good thing for me because, to see that everybody from our area is working. Like, if you're from the DMV, then you know that we're kind of slept on as far as the music scene. But I feel like that's going to change within this year and the next year. But I digress. Let's jump right into the mixtape that we're reviewing. Now, the name of the mixtape that we are reviewing is called 6304, and it consists of 15 tracks. Now, Josh and Bud T, they're two separate artists, Josh and Bud T. They are artists who are part of 6304, and it's pretty much like their group / label. And one of the biggest things that I noticed about that is that pretty much this mixtape is based around their entire, just pretty much what they bring on tracks, their energy. The energy that they both bring on tracks and their vibe that they have with each other, you know what I mean? Like, you can tell it's a vibe. Starting the record off, you have the intro. Now, when you hear intros in projects, when you hear the intro in any mixtape, any album, whatever, it sets the tone for the entire project, the pacing, the instrumental, the vibe. So, I play the intro, and one thing I noticed is that there's a lot of inconsistent singing going on. It's a lot of inconsistent. There's a lot of inconsistency going on in the intro. Like, it starts off with this very slow melodic type of beat, and the drums are kind of like stockish. Pianos on it. It just seems very incomplete. And then you have I think Josh was the first one to rap on it. Then you have Josh come in, and you kind of introduced to his very bassy voice and his particular style. You're very introduced to it. You know what I mean? One of the biggest things that I noticed with this intro, man, is just that the sound of it just doesn't sound good. The engineering is not good. The verses, I enjoyed the verses, but the hook is what really ruins this track. The hook is just floating there. There's nothing to kind of there's no auto-tune. There's not saying it needs auto-tune, but if you're trying to do something like that and you're not a singer, you're going to need something to kind of fix it. There's nothing that's really on those vocal tracks to really kind of make it good. So when that happens, as a listener, as I'm listening, I'm kind of getting discouraged to listen to it even further because it doesn't sound too good. The verses, on the other hand, weren't too bad. I feel like the verses had great pacing and whatever, but the whole concept of the intro just didn't make any sense. You know what I mean? And because of just how inconsistent everything is, you kind of get disinterest. You kind of lose interest in listening to it and kind of piecing everything together. So, the intro kind of set the tone for the rest of the project. But as a listener, I made sure that I listened to this whole thing, start to finish, to kind of figure out maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is just one of those bad tracks, you know what I'm saying? But as I continue, I start to listen more and more, and I'm starting to see that it's not really looking good. So let's dig deeper. Now, one of the biggest cons that I feel about this project is that the lackluster hooks. The hooks are not that good, and the verses may come through every now and then, but it usually depends on the song. Like, if it's one of those singing type songs, it just doesn't sound good because, one, whoever is engineering their work doesn't really touch the vocals. That's another thing, the inconsistency in the mixing. They feel very untouched. There's really great use of delays on certain songs, but it's not, you can kind of feel it, it just sounds dry. The vocals sound dry, they're not in the pocket, and if they are in the pocket, they're dry. They're not really, there's nothing on it. That was one of the biggest things that I had with this project, is just the inconsistency with the mixing, and that's one thing that continues throughout the entire project, from 1 to 15, the inconsistent mixing. Now you have tracks like track number 9, which has this trap flavor, but it also has some DC/go-go style to it, kind of on a Wale type of track. And this is a prime example of bad mixing. I don't know who that was coming in with the melodies. He came in with the harmonizing. He was like, hey, but because of how untouched the vocals are, it sounds like he's just moaning on the track, and it just sounds so bad. It sounds very, like, sonically it sounds bad. It just ruins, like, the whole vibe of the track, you know what I mean? And that's what you're gonna feel, that's what you're gonna get when you listen to this entire project. You're gonna feel the concepts, you're gonna understand the concepts, you're gonna understand what they're trying to do. But because of the lack of mixing and the lack of writing, because it's not just the engineer's fault, it's not gonna be a complete solid track, you know what I'm saying? But do not get me wrong, I don't wanna get ahead of myself, but there's tracks on here that you feel, like you definitely feel. But throughout this entire project, it's just a lot of inconsistencies going on, especially with the engineering. But I digress. But let's talk about their vibe. Josh and Bud T, their vibe together is really great. They feed off each other. And one of the biggest tracks on here, they did like a Rock Wilder freestyle. I forgot what number that was. But on the track list, they did a Rock Wilder freestyle. And if you know Rock Wilder, Method Man, Redman, you know how they vibe off each other. They had a great vibe on that track. Like, I enjoyed that track more than any other thing because it was just strictly rapping. And you know, they kind of like fed off each other and came in on how they came in. That type of track I kind of enjoyed a lot more because I could understand their vibe and I could see how they was kind of like, you know, just coming in like, I'm gonna come in right here, I'm gonna come right here. You know what I'm saying? You can respect their vibe. Their vibe together is definitely there. However, because of that, I feel like they need to understand when certain things need to go on tracks and when certain things need to take off tracks. Like, you gotta take off the track. Like, nah, don't do that, don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like they need to understand that there's certain things that you cannot do on certain tracks. Another song that I consider is just really not that good on this project is Owe Me One. Owe Me One is a prime example of just inconsistent everything. It just feels like everything is jumbled up. The verses weren't good. The ad-libs, I didn't like the ad-libs. There was just a lot of things going on. Like, it just, and the beat was fire. The beat was fire. Like, it was just a lot of things going on. And you can hear these things within the first 5-10 seconds of the track, which kind of upsetted me because I'm like, all right, I'm going to keep giving these guys a chance. But every 10 seconds, I kind of feel like there's nothing going on. So now, let's talk about one of my favorite tracks on this thing, though. Let's talk about the last track, which is the 6304 Anthem. Now, 6304 Anthem, they killed that shit. I personally feel like that's the best track on that entire thing. I thought For the Hour was my favorite. For the Hour was my personal favorite. And then I came back and listened to the project all again from start to finish, and I heard 6304 Anthem. They killed it. Like, the beat selection was perfect. Their vibe was perfect. Their verses, there's no complaints. The mixing wasn't too bad. Like, on this type of particular track, you really don't need to do nothing much for mixing. You just gotta kind of keep their vocals in the pocket, and you just gotta, you know, just make sure their vocals prevalent. If there's anything extra, you gotta add delay, reverb, chorus effects, whatever. You know, do so. But tracks like this, you don't really need to do too much. You just gotta make sure the vocals is in the pocket and they keep going. But I think 6304 was an example of just how well they can do if they understood their writing and if they understood like the concept that they can bring together. Because other songs like Neverland and like I said, track number 9, it doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, not only does it make sense, but you can kind of see the concept fall so far from what they were trying to do. You're like, oh man, I see what they were trying to do, but it just doesn't sound good. So that was one of the biggest things that I had with this project, man. It was very hard for me to listen from the start to the finish because there was a lot of inconsistencies going on. And I personally feel like if they had more tracks like 6304 Anthem, I would have been more likely to you know, keep playing and keep listening to it without having these type of thoughts in my head saying, you need to fix this, you need to, you know what I'm saying, they need to fix that and whatever. But I digress. I personally feel like if I was to give this project a grade, I give it a 3 out of 10. Only reason because 6304 Anthem was really the track that kind of like, if it had that same soul from the top of the track to the end of that, and it sandwiched together the project, it'd have been so great. Bottom line, the way that I feel about this project is that there were a lot of good ideas, a lot of good concepts, but the execution just wasn't good. The beat selection wasn't bad. There was a lot of beats that didn't really fit, and there was also a lot of beats that were really good and that really kind of complemented both their styles. Like the last song, 6304 Anthem. I personally just feel like that these two artists, Josh and Bud T, like they just got a lot more work to do. And you know, it's gonna take time, but at the same time, it's better to know what you need to focus on than to just keep wandering and keep doing the same thing and, you know, putting out the same type of quality. So one of the biggest things that I feel that you guys need to improve on as artistry, you guys have the right vibe. Y'all just might need to engineer a little bit better. Whoever's engineering, get a little bit more mixing done and get better writing. That's all you have to do. Get better writing. Beat selection was not bad. Besides the intro, I hated the intro beat. The beat was just cheesy. But bottom line, there's just a lot more work to be done. So that's pretty much it, y'all. Thank you for watching this music. So that's pretty much it, y'all. Thank you for watching this mixtape review. And if you want to check out this mixtape itself, be sure to check the link in the description. If you want to link up with Josh and Bud T, I'll put both of their Twitters and all the information below in the description. Be sure to check them out. If you are a new viewer, please be sure to subscribe and like, comment, and that's it. Appreciate it. Raeshad Beats out. Peace.